Folks, I couldn't be any more excited about our first sit-down interview. I consider this guy a brother on many levels. Mike MULROY is a father of 7 and is the epitome of what family fitness food is all about. Mike, who is half Irish and half Italian, was born in Brooklyn, New York, and is the third of 6 children. Eventually, Mike's family moved to Vermont, where he grew up doing physical things, which includes skiing, snowboarding, diving, and running cross country. Mike is a very accomplished athlete, and in fact has completed multiple triathlons. And he's completed one of the most difficult races on the planet, the IRONMAN triathlon. And in case you did not know, this consists of a 2.4 mile swim, followed by a 112 mile bike ride. And if that's not enough, you finish with a full marathon at 26.2 miles, countless of 5 and 10Ks, a 13 mile Tough Mudder, the dreaded Spartan Beast in Killeen, Vermont, and he's completed a Ragnar race, which is a 200 mile multiple day team event. Also, the only member of the Jeff Rouse Sports Center, which has close to 6,000 members, by the way, that has gotten gold level scores across the board in their annual fitness games called the Rouse Games. This has powerlifting events, this has cardio events, across the board stuff, just an all around athlete. And if that's not enough, Mike is a professional scuba diver and instructor, a licensed pilot, and an amateur skydiver. This guy is a straight up superhero, I'm telling you. I have worked out with Mike many times, and I can tell you that I've met very few people with his drive and determination when it comes to fitness. Yet Mike is not just about being super healthy for himself, but he is someone that pushes those around him to perform at their highest level. I always push myself past my perceived limits whenever me and Mike do a workout together. And guess what? I recently sat down with Mike to talk about all things family, fitness, and food.
Let's get healthy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Family Fitness Food Podcast. Super excited you're here. More importantly, I'm super excited about our guest Mike, who you got to see in the introduction, a little bit about him. Mike embodies the philosophy of family fitness and food and everything that we stand for. And it's not just about being healthy, right? Not just having healthy bodies, but about having healthy relationships, having healthy family relationships, about having a healthy lifestyle where you're eating right, where you're treating others right, and where you're treating yourself right. Super excited, Mike. Love the fact that you're here. Love the fact that you are who you are. You're a family man. You're an amazing athlete. Obviously, we're going to be talking about your athleticism and your Ironman completions, your professional diving experience, and all the things that you've accomplished. And I know everyone's super excited about getting to learn about you.
Thanks, Josh. No, I'm excited about it too. Obviously, family is very, very important to me, as is fitness and food, and most importantly, my faith. You know, I was born into an Italian New York family. I think the Italian side of my family comes out strong, but my father was Irish, so there's a mix there. You know, it was just something that embodied who I was and who I became. I'm from a big family. I'm one of 6 kids. My wife and I have 7 kids. We're a blended family. And so when you look at family and people and relationships, really there's nothing more to say about how important that is. And second to my faith, that's number 1. And that doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean, you know, we have perfect relationships, but relationships are so important.
And you coming from a big family, obviously the food component of who we are is definitely something that connects us in multiple ways. I know at my house, I have a lot of kids as well. We have a big family. The majority of our time is spent in the kitchen, right? I'm either prepping food, I'm either feeding kids, we're either snacking on stuff, we're playing games on the kitchen island, we're sitting at the breakfast table, playing Scrabble, playing Uno, everyone's eating snacks. I can't walk by the kitchen without one of my younger kids, hey, daddy, can you make me a snack? Daddy, can you feed me? Being healthy and having those healthy relationships is what we're all about. I know that's what you're all about, and I know that's what our listeners and viewers are all about.
Yeah, I have a couple of good stories for you. So on the Italian side of things, Thanksgiving, you know, we're a month and a half away from Thanksgiving. Italian Thanksgivings in America used to be a ton of Italian food and then the turkey. When my father first got to enjoy an Italian Thanksgiving, he loved food too, right? He was an Irish guy, he wasn't an Italian guy, but he loved food. So they were eating all this Italian food, and we call them charcuteries today, but they were antipastas then. And he's eating all this food and going, this is great, I love this. And next thing he knows, he's like, I'm stuffed, this is great. And out comes the turkey. And he's like, where do you want me to put this turkey? But food has always been kind of the central theme in the family, within my mom's family for sure, and maybe not so much my dad's family. He didn't grow up that way, but he married into an Italian family, and food was certainly the center of all the activity and all the joy and the fun within the family. And that's kind of the way that my wife and I embody family. We love food. I mean, who doesn't? But we love when our kids and our nieces and nephews and my brothers and sister-in-laws and sister and brother-in-law and parents and whoever are around, and it always centers on food. Food is important.
What's funny is when you think about food and the families being centered around the food causes families to have healthier relationships, right? Obviously, we want to eat healthy, and there's the health side and the nutrition side of it, but the getting together as a family to eat food, like when we have Sunday roast, it's allowing us to bond in a special way that we normally don't. On the same way, on the fitness side, food, if you're not eating right as a professional athlete or people that are trying to operate at a higher level, or even if you're just a regular person trying to work out, your nutrition is going to have a major impact on how well you work out. To get to that next level, you need good nutrition.
That's true.
You need good food. You need good fuel.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, so many different foods are out there, and we all love our sweets and we love our crappy food. But the fact is, when you want to talk about fitness and nutrition, it takes a lot more than just eating whatever's before you. There are some superfoods out there. There are some really good foods out there. And I was blessed. I grew up eating a very Mediterranean diet, right? So lots of vegetables. I ate a lot of carbs. I mean, we grew up on pasta. And so as an adult, when I would hear, oh, you got to watch your carbs, I'm thinking, are you crazy? I was a runt as a kid. I was always on the move. That's all we ate was carbs. I mean, pasta was part of almost every one of our meals. But aside from that, there were fresh fruits and vegetables. We didn't eat a lot of meat. We ate chicken. I think when you look at it, I was getting my proteins and all the nutrients that I needed through those vegetables and fruits and carbs, and pasta was a big deal. Food is amazing, and I love food, but good food is what really fuels the right kind of fitness. And if you want to be fit, you really have to think about what you're eating and not just throw anything in your body, because it does make a difference.
Let me ask you something. When you're training for your triathlons, and by the way, folks, most of you who are watching probably haven't run a triathlon. Most people haven't. That is what I consider a higher level, an accomplishment, right? To run these triathlons. When you were training for that, were you on a strict diet? Were you counting macros? Were you scientifically approaching your nutrition? Were you just, stuffing yourself full of calories because you needed to fuel your workouts?
So first of all, just so everyone knows, I'm almost 50 years old. I ran my IRONMAN back in 1998. So that was 25 years ago. I think I was 24 years old. Very different, I'll say fitness level, but I strive to stay where I was back then. And it was very different in the industry, okay? What you see today as far as power bars and power drinks, very, very different than what they were back then. I think when I finished my Ironman, I said the next time I do one, I'm gonna eat Snicker bars. Like, that's gonna be my fuel. Obviously, there's a little bit too much sugar there and maybe not enough protein and the right kinds of nutrients, but power bars back then were very, very different. And if anyone remembers Tiger's Milk or any of those types of power bars, where we would cut them into strips. I would literally, on my bike, cut them into strips and just wrap them over the neck. And while I was riding my bike, I'd grab a strip and throw it in, or I'd have my drink, whatever the drink was back then. It wasn't the type of, I don't even think Gatorade was invented back then, but it was very different. But the type of fuel, I grew up old school where, and I can't remember the exact percentages, but when they talk about fat and protein and carbs, those were the three things, right? You had your pyramid of nutrients and pyramid of how you would get your calories. And so we were always very focused on our protein, right? For rebuilding the muscle as you're running and biking and swimming, potentially your body's eating the protein that is in your muscles. And so you've got to refuel that. And so we did focus on where the calories were coming from and healthy nutrition, but it wasn't as advanced as it is today, at least not for me. I was just out of college, and my buddy and I, as we were training, we knew that protein was important, but I don't think it was an exact science that it is today.
So it's safe to say you weren't like with a logbook and you were counting like this amount of macros, or this, you were
We
hungry.
weren't counting macros, but we were definitely paying attention to what was going in our bodies. Yeah.
So you were hungry, you knew you had to eat healthy, and you would
Yes.
eat until you would eat something healthy.
Yes. We had to stay hydrated. We wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that, we were getting the right nutrients back into our bodies. But again, it was very, very different than it is today.
Now, that type of event, you're moving your body for a long period of time. Would
Yeah.
you eat? I've seen some videos of these cats that run 100-mile, 200-mile races where they're actually getting fed while they're running from their crew. Was Ironman training similar to that?
So when you think about Ironman training, and again, the distances, it's a 2.4-mile swim, it's a 112-mile bike, and it's a full marathon, 26.2 miles. So a lot of people think, oh, the fitness level, that's what you're training for. But a lot of the training was nutrition. How do I keep my body fueled while and obviously you're not eating while you're swimming, but the swim was, somewhere around an hour. So you can get by on that. But the bike could be anywhere from 5 or 6 hours. And I can tell a story later about what happened in my bike because of some nutrition decisions I made early on. But, you're talking a 9 to 16 or 17 hour event. You have got to be fueling yourself during that event. And so what you're putting in your body during the event and how your body is receiving those nutrients, a big factor in how well you might do.
Very valuable information. Now, I've never done an event to that extent. I've done some difficult things as a Marine Corps veteran, infantry, having deployed to some, very harsh places on the planet. Really became aware of the importance of nutrition. Probably my first trip to Iraq, 2006, and even the training that led up to it, where we are maybe getting 2-3 hours of sleep a night for months on end. You're carrying what felt like hundreds of pounds of gear, right? So you got body plate, you got armor, you got weapon systems, you got all kinds of stuff, even through training or whether it's actual deployment. And we would live off MREs, and we were living off of whatever canned tunas or anything we had. But I learned to appreciate food for fuel in those moments. It wasn't about taste. It wasn't about, I'm not at a restaurant sending something back because it wasn't cooked right.
When we look at the amount of sugar that's in some of the foods that we consume and some of the energy drinks and other things that we consume, it's not good for us. But if you think about it, there are a lot of great foods out there that they taste great. They're really good for you. And man, there are times I can't wait to get them. And fruits or vegetables, they're like that. When my kids were young, there were times where there were certain foods they didn't like, and I would tell them, well, you're going to try this, or you're going to get a little bit of this. And some of my kids now as adults, they'll tell me, I don't really like that, but I don't mind eating it, or I really like this. There are some foods that are so nutritious for us. And when you're thinking about fitness, the saying you are what you eat, if you're eating junk food, it's going to be hard for your body to do what you want it to do. And in order to do what you want to do and be as fit as maybe some people want to be, to do an Ironman triathlon or a marathon, or even a 5K or a 10K or some kind of Spartan Beast or some of those adventure races.
Or even just show up to the gym.
Right?
Yeah,
if you're going to go and lift weights, in order for your body to do what it needs to do and what you want it to do, you've got to have the right nutrition. And you have to think about that. You really do have to think about, okay, what am I eating? Am I putting the right things in my body to get the right output?
Great point, by the way. And I'm going to take it a step further. Did you know that the number one cause of death, it's not viruses, it's not some of the things that you would think it is. According to the National Institute of Health, it is lack of nutrition and lack of exercise. People who aren't eating right and people who aren't exercising right. So there'll be a link to that study where you can actually see for yourself that what you're eating, folks, and what you're not eating, sometimes more importantly, is going to have a major impact on how you live your life. Go ahead, go 3 days without food and see how your world changes, right?
Go a day without food.
Go a day without food. I know my kids go an hour without food. Right? Everything changes. It's that important because your body is going to start seeking after that fuel. It's going to start seeking after and craving certain things. Let's get back to the fitness and the family side of this. Perfect example. I do a lot of workouts at home, and whether I'm at the gym or if I'm at home, I'm trying to do something physical. And even my youngest one, my 3-year-old, right? And the 3-year-olds are going to mimic everything you do. I do burpees and I'll do push-ups in the living room, and they get super excited and they start mimicking me. And I see the little ones trying to do burpees and they look funny while they're doing it, and they're trying to do push-ups.
And wait till your kids are even older, because I've seen that come from setting the example as a dad where, you know, my kids are like, oh, we're doing push-ups in the living room, to now my kids are in the gym. And that's something that, you know, my wife and I set as an example to our kids. It's not like, oh, we're doing this because dad's doing it. They want it now. They want to eat healthy. They want to find that fitness level for themselves. And it's really amazing to see. Yes, it's cool to see when they're younger and they're imitating us, but when you know it's not about imitating anymore, but it's about finding their own path, and that's what they're choosing, eating healthy, finding fitness, it's amazing.
When I was young, I made a lot of stupid mistakes.
Right.
I didn't have a dad tell me what to do, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have someone tell me to be fit, tell me to be healthy, to eat my vegetables, to do my homework.
There are a lot of people making bad choices. My wife and I tell our kids all the time, make good choices, make good choices. But there are a lot of people in this world, and they're not just teenagers. They're not just young 20s. Some of them are 30s, 40s, 50s. They're making bad choices. And the fact is, they can stop and start making good choices. Mm-hmm. They can start making good choices from themselves. They can start setting examples for their kids. And maybe it's not just their kids. Maybe it's their nieces and nephews. Maybe it's their siblings. Who knows? Maybe it's their other people around them. But it's something that you envisioned for yourself, and you embodied, and you grasped, and you said, I want better. And now you have 5 kids and a wife who you're setting that example for. How amazing is that?
More than amazing, I think it's a miracle. And actually, you know, one of the F's that we didn't bring up was faith, right? I don't believe things happen by accident. I joined the Marine Corps during the Iraqi war, was really kind of getting hot and heavy at that point. Right. I joined because I needed to escape where I was at, and I needed a new life. And thank God that the Marine Corps allowed me to join their ranks. But that's where I really discovered fitness. For some of the younger ones, it might be, hey, I'm getting ready to join the military. I need to be ready to go fight. I need to be ready to survive certain situations, and fitness is obviously a major component. You are in federal law enforcement. You are a professional diver. You've trained people that go into these, maybe not combat in the military sense, but you do train, and you have trained yourself and you've trained others to enter into combat situations on more of the domestic front. I'm probably 100% sure you have some of the same kind of mindset towards fitness and survivability.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You know, there are some of us that we have to do it because it's part of our jobs, and it's part of who we are, and it allows us to function at our best, right? But the fact is, there's a lot of us who still choose otherwise. And when I think about, you know, you and I are, you know, not quite at 50, but pushing 50, it's a lifestyle choice, regardless of what our jobs are. If we want to continue through life and being the best that we can be, fitness is so important. And there's different aspects of fitness, right? I mean, you know, everyone thinks, oh, but I'm not a runner, I don't like to run. The truth is, if you're in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, and you're out there working in the gym with weights, I think that's a lot better than working some kind of cardio. Cardio is important, but the fact is, those of us who are lifting weights are gonna see much better performance much later in our lives. And I think that's important. And again, that's very true for the job I'm in right now. It's important for my ability with the type of work that I'm doing. And again, you mentioned, you know, looking good. Well, yeah, that's a part of it. I mean, staying fit and keeping that beer gut or anything else at bay, but looking good, sure, that's a part of it. But being healthy and being the best person you can be, being the best fit person you can be, because it matters. Otherwise, our bodies just continue to fall apart, and they will. We know that. I mean, ultimately, they will fall apart. But the longer, for me personally, that I can stay strong and stay healthy, I'm going to fight it all the way.
Now, you hit some great points there. It's about a quality of life, right?
Right.
That one experience. And I got to assume, even though it was 25 years ago, running an Ironman, that is not a little guy task. That's a big boy task.
Definitely not.
And I guarantee you had moments in that race where you didn't want to keep going, that you were questioning, why am I doing this? This was a stupid idea. I did all this to get a t-shirt and a medal, right? Like I paid money to get a medal and a t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you had to go through some spiritual moments on that.
You have in any kind of race like that. And of course, we're talking about ultra races, right? Ironmans and these Spartan beasts and ultras and stuff, right? And for some people, their ultras are getting up off the couch and walking a mile or running a 5K, right? But for us, we've been able to find what we've needed inside of ourselves to push ourselves beyond. No, there were ups and downs in my Ironman. And when I was first challenged to do it, my buddy and I, we completed a sprint triathlon, we completed a half triathlon, and those in and of itself had their own interesting facets. But for the Ironman, my swim, you'd been training for how many months? And I came out of the water and I saw the clock and I was like, wow, I came out of the water way faster than I thought I would. So now I'm on a high, okay? And I'm thinking, all right, I've got to fuel up. I've got to get ready for the bike. And so, you get into the transition area, you get your bike set up, you get out, you start, again, I'm going to go back to the power bar, Tiger's Milk and the gels and stuff, very different than what they are today. But I'm like, I've got to get this nutrition back inside so I can keep going. Well, I overdid it. And I should have been a little bit more patient and slowed down. But my bike, there were numerous times on the bike that I thought, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to survive this. I'm struggling. My body's like just not taking to this nutrition and taking to this fitness, trying to refuel. And so I struggled on the bike. 112 miles, the first 80 miles, I was on and off the bike and thinking, I'm done. This is a huge event and I'm not going to finish. But I pushed and I kept pushing through. So, I look at my time, and although I'm proud of it and I know I finished, I feel like, wow, I could have done even better. But there's so many facets of these long ultra races, and nutrition is a big part of it. But I finished. Mentally, I said, you're going to keep going, just keep pushing, get through this. And by the time I got to the run, my head was in a place where it was like, okay, I'm going to do this run. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not going to push so hard that I start failing, but I'm going to do the best I can. And so, everyone thinks Central Florida, there's no hills. Well, I'm going to tell you, there's hills in Florida. But on the hills on the run, I took it easy. And the initial 8 miles of 26.2 was hilly. And every time I hit a hill, because of this hard bike, I'm like, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna strain. I'm not gonna push hard. I'm gonna do the best I can. By the time I was done with 26.2 miles, there were 3 laps around a lake, and they were about 6 miles apiece, right? So an 8 mile out and back, which was a little bit hilly, and then 3 6-mile loops around this lake. My last 6 miles, I did in less than 42 minutes. Now, when you think about running and biking and swimming for 13 hours, to think that at the end of that, I was able to do 6+ miles in less than 42 minutes, I was proud of that. Because I realized that through all the adversity, right? And we talk about adversity in life, but for me, this was just adversity in this competition, in this race. I was able to push through it and challenge myself enough to get past the difficulty and finish strong. And that's probably what I'm most proud of in that Ironman. At 24 years old, I pushed through, I didn't quit. And although I felt weak at times, and I felt like I was struggling, I got stronger as the day went on. And I say the day, really it was night, because I finished at night. And it was a great accomplishment.
That's so inspiring. And like, you're bringing me back to even like my ultra, like we started in the morning sunrise and we finished at sunset. It was that long of an event.
Right.
And when you're out there doing something physical for that long, you learn about yourself, and you learn and you start thinking about other things, take your mind off of what you're experiencing.
That's right.
But you did finish, and you obviously finished very strong. And having known you now and worked out with you, seeing how you are with your family, I'm not surprised. And it's funny, folks, we're talking about doing very difficult things physically. This ties into the family aspect, right? To bring us back to the beginning, I've been married 14 years. I have 5 children. It hasn't been easy, right? It's a long distance thing. It's not a sprint, right? We're not going to quit.
That's right.
Doesn't mean that we haven't wanted to, because we weren't getting the good nutrition. right? We were on that long stretch and we weren't eating right. We weren't eating the spiritual food that we were supposed to eat. We weren't getting the things that we were supposed to get and doing the things that we were supposed to do. But we were determined to get to the finish line, and we still are.
Right.
The same with the children. It's like your children are much older now and in college, but raising them, there's no there's no defeat, right? There's no turning back. Once you're out in one of these races, you can't turn back. I'm out in the middle of the woods in the Spartan race. I could sit down and quit, but guess what? I'm in the middle of the terrain. No, I have to get back to the starting line.
Yeah.
Right?
Just because you're doing well, or just because you're continuing in whatever it is you're doing, doesn't mean it's been easy. But you keep fighting and you keep pushing.
And it makes you stronger. It makes you better in all that we do. And again, family health, your fitness health, and the food that fuels our families, the food that fuels our bodies is what we're all about at Family Fitness Food. We want to change ourselves. We want to continue to change. We want to continue to challenge ourselves. And we want to inspire other people to do the same. We want to inspire other people that are, hey, maybe you've been married for a certain amount of time, or maybe you're about to get married. Maybe you're beginning your fitness journey, or maybe you've been doing it for a long time and you've plateaued. Maybe you're got it all figured out and you just want to hear two old dudes talk about diving and Marine Corps stuff and running and suffering. But we want to thank you for tuning in. We want to thank you for watching us and sitting here listening to us. So this is not the end of the conversation, because actually we got a pretty exciting thing coming up. Mike's going to actually run me through one of his difficult training sessions that he would have done for an Ironman and just for his typical all-around health at this point. So we're gonna sign off in a second. We're gonna switch over and put on some PT clothes, and Mike's gonna make this old Marine suffer. I hate running. I can lift heavy stuff. I love lifting heavy stuff. And I love hopping over obstacles. The cardio, you can keep that. But he's a cardio stud, and I know he's gonna run me through it. And you guys are gonna have a good time. We're gonna learn a lot about Mike and his training and how old Ironman. He's done it a long time ago, but he's still training. Right? He could run one today. I promise you. I've seen him work out. You're in for a neat treat. We're gonna get together and do a nice little workout, and hopefully you guys learn something, get a little entertainment, and get to join us on a fun little session.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Family Fitness Food adventure. This time we're out in the middle of a freezing cold day in Northern Virginia on a soccer field. I got a couple friends with me, Ironman Mike, we got Running Man Rob, we've got DJ who just graduated college. He didn't realize he's gonna be doing 300 burpees a day. Yes, I did say 300 burpees. So today we're gonna do a little difficult session. Again, we talk a lot on this channel about doing difficult things, challenging yourself every day, right? This is how you have to live your life. You have to make challenges. You have to do hard things. That's how you grow. That's how you become better. So today we're gonna do a 300 burpee workout. Yes, 300 burpees. I run a lot of Spartan races, as you can see with the gear I'm wearing. Burpees are a big part of running a Spartan race. If you fail an obstacle, you're doing 30 burpees. So I like to incorporate a lot of burpees into my workouts, especially as the Spartan race season is going to be starting pretty soon. So we're going to be doing 6 rounds of 50 burpees. In between the burpee rounds, we're going to do 30 air squats. We're going to do 20 crunch variations and 10 push-ups. And the burpees suck so much that you can't wait for the air squats. So this is going to be a fun little adventure. So there's the 4 of us, a little competition. We're going to see who can finish first. I'm the oldest, dad bod here, probably going to finish last, but I am going to finish. It's going to take me a while, but I'm going to finish. So, gentlemen, are you ready to start?
Let's do it.
All right. They're ready. I don't know if I am. Okay. Stupid idea. But it's fun.
All right, get these push-ups done. Go on to 54. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 53, 42.
Yeah. Time.
55, 22.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That was awesome, man.
All right, man, Mike. Let me tell you something. You work out with people better, stronger than you. Makes you better. So I've done that workout before, and I just beat my time by 20 minutes. If it wasn't for guys like DJ and Mike, I wouldn't have pushed myself as far as I did. So,
That's awesome.
hey, family, fitness, food, make it count. Go.
Let's get healthy.